I guess we can get started. Thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Alex Zautke. I'm working for FHIR as part of the Vonk FHIR server team. And for the last half a year, we have been working on a really exciting new product. We call it the FHIR Mapper. It's an implementation of the FHIR Mapping Language. Together with our development partner Helix, we have been implementing that in order to push the FHIR specification forward, because we really like the idea of the FHIR mapping language and all the possibility that it gives you the flexibility to use it in different use cases to map data independently of your source data. And for that reason, we implemented two new custom operations in our FHIR server, which is $convert and $transform. And this Let's Build session today here is for you to try out these operations and to get to know the FHIR mapping language. We made these operations available on our custom, on our public endpoint for Vonk. And basically, what we want to do today is to go through the example that Vadim introduced in his previous talk. And, well, the idea is that you follow these transformation rules, try to adapt that maybe a little bit, and try out the different operations that are defined by the FHIR mapping language. I will do first a quick walkthrough. And after that, I would say I more or less not leave you alone, but we will go through. You can do it on your own pace. If you have questions, just raise your hand and we're here to help. Vadim will assist me as well. And then you can use Postman to try out these operations on our public endpoint. So for a start, let's see how it's supposed to work. So the FHIR mapper is using FHIR structure definitions for the source data as well as the target data. So anything that can be represented by a FHIR structure definition can be used in the FHIR mapper to map the data. That is really important because in many cases you already have quite a lot of issues in your source data, so it's really necessary to check that data in order to not go almost to the end and then notice, well, my source data is faulty and I can throw everything away. So in our implementation, everything is strongly typed, which means that we are checking the data types as well as the cardinalities of the data before starting the transformation process. And here we created a logical model, which is not that special. It contains a few elements that would map to patient and a observation and a medication resource. And that is all stuff together. We see that commonly, I guess. And now we want to make proper FHIR resources out of that data. In order to do that, we can teach Vonk about our fake inpatient drug chart by simply posting the FHIR structure definition to the administration endpoint, and after that, Vonk natively understands that resource like it was an official FHIR resource. Afterwards, we can also post concept maps to do the transformation of codes and codebook concepts. In the mapping language, you can use transformations with an equal or equivalent relationship in order to map your codes. The next step is then to write your mapping language file. We implemented that in such a way that you have the $convert operation where you natively post the mapping language file and get back a human-readable a machine-readable structure definition that is easier to parse and execute. Lastly, there is one more operation which is the dollar transform operation, which takes in the resource that you want to transform to FHIR, and then you execute that on your structure map that you got as the output from your dollar convert operation. And basically that's everything in the process, and then you can start mapping your data. We designed a walkthrough through all these steps. Here you can find that on docs.simplify.net. You will find here a new link which is called FHIR Mapper, and it will guide you through the process of converting this data. All transformation functions for that logical model are also published on simplify.net. So if you search for FHIR Mapper on Simplifier, you will find that project here, and it contains this mapping language file, which has a complete mapping of all the elements in that logical model. And my idea for now would be that you simply take a handful of elements of the logical model and try to create your own structure map using $convert and get to know the mapping language to write some transformation code and see how you can use all the different functions defined by the FHIR mapping language to transform your content. So for the first part, you would need to have a look at the logical model to know how the structure looks like, and then write the mapping language file. That can be executed by a $convert operation, which is basically just a post against the base URL, and it needs a special content type, which is text, FHIR mapping, chart set UTF-8. And afterwards, it will output a structure map resource that you can put onto as a Vonk endpoint for structure maps. So, yeah, I would say we get started on writing these mapping language rules. Any questions so far? Yeah, sorry. No, oops. Doesn't seem to work. Strange. What? Sorry? Yeah, yeah. I'm trying both. Yeah, minus is working, but not plus. Shit.
The equation sign. It's command equation.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't go bigger than that. Let's do a different trick. Okay. Yeah. So this is a operation that you need to call, which here is a post with the mapping language file as its content, and then you should get back a structure map resource. And yeah.
What is the base URL?
Good question. Sorry. So that is https vonk.fhir.ly. And as I said, you can find the logical model in the FHIR Mapper project on Simplifier. So on Simplifier, just search for FHIR Mapper and you will find that. Yep, yep. Oops. So if you get stuck, just have a look here at docs.simplifier.net. There's a complete documentation on how to run that. Or, yeah, just feel free to ask any questions that you have. No. Okay, so we are almost out of time. Yeah. I hope you got a first impression on the FHIR Mapping Language and what it can do. If you have any other questions, yeah, just ask me. I will be around here at DevDays. Or you can send me an email, alexander@fhir.ly, and this plugin will stay online on the public endpoint, so you can also try it out after DevDays at home. Good, then thank you so much for joining me here today, and have a great DevDays. Thank you.